And all right, welcome everyone to another edition of the Real Estate Mixtape. For those who are joining us online via Facebook, via the business page or personal page, you can also follow us online at YouTube. Today, I have two very special guests for today's topic, and I will introduce them. First, we have Connie to my immediate left, as everyone can see online.
Hello.
She's a client of mine. And also Tanisha.
Hello.
Who's beside Connie. So we are just waiting for people to come on. Did the live come on okay for you guys on your phones?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, so let's get to today's topic, which deals with which should women get first, the house or the husband. I'm gonna get nice and comfortable for this one. I got a lot of notes here. If you see any comments come through, ladies, please help me filter through those. So, well, first of all, let me back up. Connie, tell us a little bit about yourself, your age, when you bought your first home, if you're single, if not, were you single when you bought your home?
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. Connie Evans here. My first home purchase was actually when I was 21.
Right.
My 21st birthday.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
Yep. It was encouragement from my father.
Right.
Old school, if you're going to invest, you need to buy a home.
Right.
I was on my way to buy a Mercedes. Nope. But either way, I was single.
Right.
At that time. And my second purchase, I was also single.
Now, single in terms of marital status.
Correct.
Were you attached when you bought your first home?
I was for the first one
For
at
the first
21, and the
Okay.
second one was at 30.
At 30.
And I was not.
Okay, very good. And both Connie and Tanisha are very good friends of mine, but they're also excellent clients. And oh gosh, Connie, we've done what, two together, and then I've done one with your sister,
That's right.
one with your cousin, and almost another house with someone else. But yeah,
I will add that the last two purchases
Uh-huh.
were with my husband.
yes,
Those
and
are the ones that you helped us with.
And we'll get into that because when you got married, does he mind if we say his name, Billy? Of course, he probably doesn't. He probably does. Anyway,
Sure.
when you got married, you were already a homeowner.
I was.
So we're gonna kind of unpack that a little bit.
Okay.
All right, Tanisha, please introduce yourself, your age. You just bought your home going on 30 days ago, right?
My name is Tanisha Beard. I am 32 years old and I'm single. Like single.
Single and unattached.
Yes.
Right? Single. And how long have you been single and unattached?
3.5 years.
3.5 years, okay. And we just closed on your
We
home.
closed on my house on the 30th of September.
Yep. And gorgeous property. And you have never owned a home before, so this is your first.
Yes.
Any kids?
No kids.
No kids. No kids. No man.
Nope.
No dog.
Nope.
No nothing.
No
All right. I like it.
Hey.
So, and just for those watching online live, I have been doing some social experimenting via, I would put posts on Facebook and Instagram, real estate related, saw how many people would like, comment, engage. Then I'll post something about relationships. And shout out to my man Harris. Go to his Instagram page. What is it? Not Filmed by Harris. What is it? Shot by. Yep, there you go. Check him out, Instagram. But then I will put a post up about relationships, something relationship related. And swarms of comments, swarms of likes,
I've seen them.
whole bunch of opinions,
Yes.
all that kind of stuff. Whole bunch of women saying a whole bunch of different stuff.
Oh, yeah. I've commented a couple of times.
Yep, you commented a couple of times. So I came up with the idea of taking what I was doing in my podcast and making it, I want to say making it more relevant, but trying to merge the two in a way to where we can start viewing real estate home purchasing from a different angle. What's very interesting to me was all the stuff that I'm going to be doing in this new series, which is called Real Conversations, RE Real Estate, AL Real Conversations, is all the things that people think about, deal with, leading up to buying a home, after buying a home, all that kind of stuff.
Relevant.
Yeah. So, I'll pull out my notes because I know everyone is wondering what in the world is he going to say tonight.
Me too.
Well, I am totally ready
Yes.
for all of y'all. Should single women purchase a home? And let me put this caveat on it. Should single women looking for love purchase the home before they find the husband? First thing off the top of your mind, Connie, what would you say? And then I'll go into what I have.
Absolutely.
Okay. Reasons
But
why.
there are some buts.
There are some buts. Okay.
Well, you never know when that love is going to transform into more.
Okay.
And there are so many positives with buying a home.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go wrong.
Right.
So to me, there really isn't or any reason I can think of to wait,
Okay.
because you can sell it if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep it and buy another.
Right.
I mean, there's just unlimited, possibilities.
Right.
But you should look at it as an investment.
So the pros always outweigh the cons.
They do.
Okay. Whether you are single and attached, single and unattached, single because you are divorced, single because you're separated, whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
But I do want to add that there are considerations that should be made if you are dating someone and you've talked about a future.
Okay.
So we may get into this a little bit more, but there's several buts that go along with you absolutely should.
Okay. All right. Very good. Tanisha?
Yes, I think you should.
Think
if
you
you're
should.
in a financial position to be able to purchase your home,
Okay.
why wait? I would say if you have it to do it, because men not gonna wait for the woman. So why not go ahead and purchase it?
All right. Well, let's look at some statistics. All right. And this is very amazing. Ladies, listen up close. Hopefully you can hear us good on Facebook and on YouTube. If you cannot, please comment and we'll try to adjust that. Last year, of all the homes that were sold in the U.S., nearly 20% of those purchases were made by women, single women, out of
Makes
all
sense.
the homes sold. In all 50 metro cities, women own more property, more homes, I should say, than men. And this number of 20% of all the purchases was astonishing to me. And it only seems like it's going to be going higher.
Yeah.
So what's happening is not only are more single women purchasing homes, but the increase is outpacing even the rate and increase of home purchases, period.
Is this in alignment with the ratio? Because we already, double men? So is that relative or?
Well, in my research, here's a couple of the hurdles that I came across.
Okay.
When it said single women, it did not always specify if they had never been married, if they were married before and divorced, or if they were widowed.
Okay.
It just said single. And you can fact check me, look at National Association of Realtors, look at National Associated Real Estate Brokers, NAREB, also look at the U.S. Census and Women in Housing and Real Estate. So those are my sources for the data. It did not specify and that the 20%, the ages.
Okay.
Okay, and the difference of being single and single, because it's very interesting. Out of the clients that I've had, single women, most single women were purchasing a home because my clients, because they're not trying to wait on no man. You know, they dating,
Why?
they out here, but they ain't trying to wait for Prince Charming to come in and just swoop them up. So they getting impatient. So they're going to get theirs. Interesting enough, every single man, client of mine, he was single in the sense he wasn't married, but he was attached and he was about to get married. So when we're going to look at houses, she's coming because he's about to pop the question. So he's buying the house attached. So this is the home. I got to bring her because I'm about to ask her to marry me. So this is a joint kind of decision-making thing.
Yeah.
Not for the ladies.
I mean, that speaks volumes because when
I
I,
think it speaks a lot of
purchased
volumes.
mine
Yeah.
and I had a boyfriend, I didn't take him.
You didn't take her.
No, I told him about it later, but it was
Now, this was when you were 20,
this is when I was 21.
21. You graduated college because you went when you were 16. I think you were kind of similar to my daughter when you started, right?
Yep.
So you graduated at 20,
Yes.
and a year later, you were already a homeowner.
I had a steady job, full-time job. Why not?
Steady job, full-time job. I was interviewing another single woman here in Charlotte. She went to school. She got her nursing degree. It wasn't a registered nurse. I think it was called a BRN, something like that. I know I'm getting that abbreviation wrong. But nonetheless, when she graduated, she immediately was able to start working in the hospital, making good money.
And I was in healthcare. So
And
that
you were in
makes sense.
healthcare. You were in healthcare. Okay. So those are just some statistics. Now let's look at the statistics. I cannot pronounce that to save my life. At least not quickly, as fast as I speak. Unmarried women, and this is from the Women's Voices, Women Vote. Yes. So let's look at the unmarried women demographic and economic profile, just from a number standpoint. And I would say give this a relevant kind of time. But nonetheless, currently there are 56.8 million unmarried women in the U.S. They account for 26% of the overall population.
That's a lot.
That is.
That's a lot. Of
And
the
this-
56.8 million, 51% have never been married.
Does it give an age range?
It doesn't on this one.
Okay.
But I will get to the ages here. 18.2% with children under 18 years old and living at home.
Okay.
Okay. Unmarried women as far as age distinction. So we got 56.8 million. Ages 18 to 30, that's 32.7%. Ages 30 to 59, 24.7%. Ages 60 and up, 42.7%.
That's interesting.
Well, because the brother's dying sooner. You know, that's one of the reasons why 60 plus is 42.7.
But even the first group of younger women,
Right.
it's a higher percentage than the middle group.
Right. The first
So
eight,
that was a little
18 to 30.
And then, you get to 60.
Right.
And it's just almost double that.
Yeah, you
And-
would
and we're
think
gonna-
they'd be settled by then.
Right, you would.
And one of the reasons, there was a huge, great study done in 2014, and it basically looked at not only the current married, single men, women in the U.S., but also started making some projections. What they were projecting was you were going to see a heck of a lot less number of people getting married as in comparison to
Right.
before. So like 1950s, just about half of America was half of the adults were married. That's dramatically changed because in 2014 that number was, and I'll see if I can pull up that stat. Actually, I had it here.
But But you have them getting married, but a year or two they getting divorced. It's not lasting.
Yes.
Well, that is one of the things that I looked at as well in terms of why they're single. Not just the single women, but are these divorced women? Are these widows and things like that? What you find is that people are getting married later, much later now. 1950s, you were looking at the average guy or the median age was like 23 or something like that.
That was the expectation.
That was the expectation. That was the status quo.
Yep.
For the woman, she was around 20 years
Yeah,
as sort of a kind of a median. We're far from that now.
That's right.
that's true.
We're far from that now. And this is why the question of should a woman get the house or the husband first is so relevant, because so many women are waiting later to get married.
Women and men.
Women and men, right,
They're
right.
waiting.
But in terms of single women, they are waiting much later. So it's not like you're getting married at 20 years old.
Right.
You're getting married. You may not get married until 30
Yeah,
Or 40.
or 40 or later. Now, what's very interesting as well is so in all 50 metro cities, women own more homes than men. Now, what are some contributors to that? Some women get a home via divorce settlement. It's still, to this day, the data has shown women are more likely to walk away from a divorce with the home
That makes sense.
when it comes to asset distribution, especially if there are kids involved and things like that.
And then women, I think, we have more attachments to a home.
Most definitely. A lot more attached to home. Over the last 50 years, you've seen a dramatic increase in more women in labor force and starting businesses.
I believe you see that now though.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
You see that now, right? So between 2014 and 2019, there was a 21% increase in women starting businesses. And women are 2 times more likely to start a business over the men.
I think all of that plays into their purchasing homes as well.
Exactly. That's exactly where I'm going.
In order to achieve wealth, in order
Right.
to have greater potential,
Right.
you have to really step out on your own in a lot of instances.
You
And
really
so-
do. And that's how I broke it down, Connie, because there are pros and cons on a single woman looking for love, purchasing a home before a husband. And when I had to look at it, and you'll love the cons because it's going to make a lot of sense. I had to look at first, what about those single women who have no prospects? They single.
Ain't looking. Don't want to be.
Well,
bothered.
they looking. They may want to be bothered, but ain't nobody there.
I mean, the numbers are
You know, that doorbell hasn't rung since last time on
good
Halloween.
numbers.
You know, Halloween was probably the most visitors they got in a long time. And then you got single women who have prospects. All right. One of the reasons why I say you should not wait on a husband if you're a woman without prospects is because of the timing. Number one, timing in the market. If it's a good time to buy, you need to be buying.
That's right.
It makes no sense to wait.
Now is a prime example. As far as this pandemic, you gotta take advantage
Take advantage.
of everything. I'm trying to maximize every opportunity that I can possibly do this year.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the house was one of them.
And a house is one of them. And
I
go
want
ahead.
to say,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about politics,
Right.
but interest rates are low as well.
Interest rates are low.
So that's huge.
Definitely true.
And what a lot of men and women don't understand if they are looking to purchase their first home or a home is the programs that they may qualify for down payment assistance may have an expiration date. Because if it's a program that's not like a citywide, but it's based on certain funds being available that trickled down from federal government, whatever, they have these funds available. Once those funds are done, the program is done.
Right.
And listen, until it comes back around. I remember a program that was $15,000 down. And so many people didn't take advantage of it. You were exactly correct, because what happened in the pandemic, could you close that door for us, Harris? Thank you. The programs got a pause button. right? How Charlotte was still moving, but there were other products and things out there that weren't
Yeah.
in terms of being attached to a program. So that's one of the pros that I say definitely go for the house. It's the timing of the market. Secondly, I think you should go for the house and not wait on the husband as a single woman, is the timing of you financially.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely
The timing of you financially. Because if you waiting on old boy to come swing through, your financial situation could change.
that's true. Waiting on him.
Waiting on him.
Yeah.
So you follow me so far. That's why I wanted to give that statistic. Go ahead, Connie.
I was going to say, dig into that a little bit more as to what that means, because certain brackets
Right.
may cause you to have to pay more or less. So some of the programs you may qualify for as a single person with a certain income
Right.
and that availability.
Right. So what
Right.
Connie's referring to for those listening is that some programs have their requirements. There's a ceiling in terms of the household income. So if you're going to use House Charlotte, depending on how many people live in the home, the household income cannot be over a certain amount. Some women can put themselves out of the runnings to use a down payment assistance program, waiting on the husband to come, because when the husband come and now attaches that income to the household, you're no longer,
Qualify.
you don't qualify for that program. Is that what you're alluding to?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's what Connie's talking about there. One of the contributing factors, another contributing factor as to why in the 50 metropolitan states in the U.S., women own more property than men, is because women have been shown to be more aggressive in saving.
I can personally
If we want it.
contribute to that.
More aggressive in saving. Women, they said, also are more risk adverse, meaning they're more conservative. So a woman is more likely, single woman is more likely to be living within her budget than a man, single man, is likely to take risk and stretch himself too thin financially.
I agree, because men will try to, I guess, catch different type of women. So they want to.
So they gotta level up.
They want this car, this.
They got to
Audi,
prop
or
up.
They want
Yeah.
this
Right.
Lexus.
Yeah.
And you can't afford it, or
Right.
you riding around with this Lexus and you got on Gucci from head to toe, but
Correct.
you
You don't
get
have a
home
home.
and
And there's no,
There is
it's-
no
you
home.
struggling.
yeah, you got cold turkey and a slice of
can't
bread, and that's
you
it.
can't maintain it.
Right, you can't maintain it. And you and I talked about this. There is something, and I don't know what data, what kind of research you could do to show this, but there is something to men having more pressure to try to impress in order to acquire the partner in a relationship that they desire. If you are across the board, if you are a single female and you are relatively pretty, nobody cares. The brother don't care what kind of car you drive.
Right?
Actually, if you driving a hoopty, it only makes his Nissan look better.
It does.
And I own a Nissan, so I ain't hating
I-
on
I-
anybody
me
with
too.
Nissan.
Yes, me
I
too.
own a
It's
Nissan. And I
paid
love my
off.
Nissan. But that's the part of it. Now, I don't know. I mean, you could probably do a questionnaire and do that kind of polling,
I
but
have another perspective on that
Okay.
too. Women,
yeah.
from that whole attachment perspective,
Uh-huh.
I think about my children.
Right.
And so my risk adverseness is I need to not live paycheck to paycheck. I
And
need
that-
to have
right.
something, because I am the one who's thinking about, I mean, women were nurturers. We're the ones who really kind of build that home aspect.
So if you're a single mom, it's all on you.
And
right.
even in a marriage, I mean, you just never know. But
Right.
but women traditionally kind of help with that foundation, and that's a part of it. Men, you know,
Right.
they're providers. In most instances, women do
Right.
get the children if there's a divorce or separation, and or they're the primary caretakers.
Right.
So men have a little bit more freedom, some,
Right.
to spend more,
Spend more,
to do things
take more risk.
differently. Right.
Yeah, they can
That's my
walk a
opinion.
fine line a little longer than, yeah, I mean, and that's true. And then I begin to poll and ask, well, what are some of the hesitations? Why a single woman, though she's looking for love, what are some of the hesitations on why they don't purchase homes, just across the board. Here's what I found. Women in relationships often wait to see how it will play out.
I can agree with that.
And that contributes to some hesitations as to why they're not pulling the trigger on buying a house. If they are single but attached and it's serious, they may not buy a house because they're trying to wait to see how this plays out.
But why wait? If you're in a financial situation where you feel like, okay, I can't afford this, even though you are in a relationship, why not do it?
I guess one of the reasons is because they feel like they're planning as a team now versus planning as an individual. So you have this man that you're in love with. It's a serious relationship. You may have even talked about marriage. You're not expecting a ring over the next year, right? Because it's gotten serious maybe 6 months in, 8 months in. I've known some women who, I don't know why, some women get in relationships for like 4 years. But anyway, so.
To each his own.
Without to each his own. No judgment here. Buy a house with me, I'm fine. But yeah, because it brings in, it just brings in dynamics on where they're going to live.
I think women are considerate as well. You know, a lot of women, especially some that are traditional, and we have a variety of different categories.
Okay.
But they may feel, one, I want to do this with him.
Right.
Or either he should be leading this process. So even though they can,
right,
you know, we're just going to be like, well, you know, if it's just a year out, I don't want to just do this now by myself. Right. So, I mean, it's timing, it's consideration. I could see several reasons if someone's in a long-term or has a real prospect.
Right.
But if you don't have one, I don't get it.
And a lot of women say, and it's not as big of a deal as they make it out to be. But let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Some women feel that by them becoming a homeowner, that can be intimidating for the next guy.
Yes.
And because to what you say, Connie, a woman purchasing a home is basically saying to the men, I'm no longer considering y'all.
Right.
Or if I'm in a relationship,
why do I need
if I'm attached, but I'm going to go buy my house, even though we're in love, but I'm still moving. It says I'm moving forward as an individual. I'm not considering you. Right. Well, there are those type of men out there. Yada, yada. This is what I would say why women should not buy the house before the husband. Here's one reason. Given that they're single. If your fantasy of how your home is going to be has a husband at the centerpiece, if that's truly what's going to make you happy, I would say settle that before you purchase.
I agree.
Because what's going to happen is, if that's the fantasy in your mind, that's truly, that's what's going to make you happy, and now you purchase a home and have to come to an empty house all the time, you're not going to be a happy person.
Right.
You're not going to enjoy the home. Well, you don't mind, but
because I'm very happy.
You're very happy. However, you have, how can I say this? You're a little more mature in your singleness than other people may be. We talked about this. Remember when I asked you, when it came to a decision to buy a house, did you think about a guy, relationship, marriage, or any of that? And what was your response to me?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So it's not a fantasy for you. Do you see what I'm saying? You're wanting a home because you're wanting a home.
Yeah, that's the goal for me.
That's the goal for you. You're not trying to live out some ideal at that moment. Secondly, you had some distance between your last serious relationship, right, to the time that you and I started working together, because you were actually with a previous agent. So I would say before the time you actually started looking at a home, and then we got together. So if that's truly what's going to make you happy, I tell people, now do some soul searching. Write it down, journal, seek counseling, whatever. Line some things up, but be real about who you are. And if that's what's going to make you happy, is coming home to a husband that's there, I would caution them. I would caution them. If that's anything less than that will make you unhappy. Yes. Now, I've told single women this as well, and y'all can comment on it, ladies. You waiting on a husband is you waiting on not only for a man to be there, but you're waiting on that man to make a certain decision, which is to marry you.
That's the goal.
Don't ever allow your decision making to be put on someone else's schedule. In other words, don't forego buying a home, which could be better for you, right? Net worth, able to claim money on taxes, able, in terms of interest rate and things like, not interest rate, but interest that you're paying on the loan. It's not just all going towards rent. You have ownership, yada, yada, yada. But don't ever put what's best for you on someone else's timeline and decision making. Because you can be with that guy, but what if he doesn't ask you to marry him for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever?
I think part of that has to do with education and people not understanding or knowing their options and what it means. I mentioned earlier, you can sell it, When I had my home and then I found my soulmate, my true soulmate, and we got married, we then together stepped out and bought one together.
Right.
And then I do want to call out real quick about my single ladies and some of the reasons why they aren't.
Okay.
A lot of women are thinking like men now, right?
Correct.
And they're just like, I'm free.
Right.
They're willing to move for jobs, or either they're waiting to get married later, so it's not something that they want to do right now.
Okay.
So if you think about that as well, education and the fact that you can sell that home if you move, or you can rent it. So I think education plays a huge, piece in people understanding those options, the pros and the cons.
Yeah, pros and cons. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Now, in terms of some more hesitations as to why some women hesitate to buy a home, single women, wanting kids and a home doesn't match the fantasy. So once again, they have not only what they want, but how they want it to play out. Here's was a good one. And this more so speaks to single women who are definitely attached. From women that I've talked to, some of them didn't buy a home because they were living with a guy.
So they didn't want their own house?
So they never went and got their home because they may have moved in with him.
And he owns his home, or it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
She just moved.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Whether he's renting or owning. What was the note that I put down? Living with the man already. Yeah.
Ladies, I hope you're saving some dollars.
I mean, that different.
Because think
to go towards your home or whatever in life.
But think about that. If you've ever had friends that have moved in, or let's say that he moves in with her, she's renting, but she may have a better location spot or large spot, whatever. They're deciding to, or they just both find a place and rent together, right? If you're renting, you're not necessarily going to try to buy as a single woman.
That happened to me before I bought my first home.
Okay.
So, grew up in Florida.
Right.
Met a man my senior year. Moved to North Carolina to be with him under the guise that we would eventually get married.
Okay.
And he owned his own home.
Okay.
So I moved in with him.
Right.
I wasn't even thinking about buying my own home.
Right.
Because eventually it would become ours.
Correct.
So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you need to have some guidelines and perimeters around that.
Right.
Like how long, or what is your investment in this?
Exactly. Those are some of the hard conversations that you need to have up front. I think as single individuals, both men and women, take some time to soul search, figure out what's going to make you happy in your life. Where do you see happy? What's your timeline to get some things accomplished, so that when you meet someone and it does become serious, you've already had that conversation. You already have a general direction of where you're trying to go.
Yeah, but I'm sure when you were staying with him, you or saving, right?
Of course. And that's what I meant, ladies. Yeah. You need to save.
Well,
to contribute if needed, because if we got married, eventually it would have been ours. Yeah. But then you never know.
But Tanisha, I think she's jumping at it. Some people, when they move in together, they start playing house.
Yeah.
I mean,
and if you're not strong savers anyway,
saving, some would just move in and blow their check or do whatever they want to do. They're not saving
because there's additional income there. So now that risk factor has gone down for a woman because, Johnny or Bobby, whoever. Okay, right.
Now, I do think that he was spending his extra from my contributions. So
he wasn't saving.
So he wasn't saving.
He
now
wasn't
that his
looking
utilities are cut in half or the rent's cut in half, he would immediately go out and spend it versus save it.
He bought a nice Lexus.
Really?
Oh,
yeah, I did that one time. One time I bought a Lexus. I shouldn't have done that. My car payment was $540 a month. And this was back when I was teaching.
Oh.
Yeah, like first year, second year teaching. Oh, yeah, it was crazy. Okay, but anyway. Another reason why I think single women should not wait on a husband before they purchase a home is data shows that some of y'all, a good bit of y'all, not gonna get married ever.
Oh Lord, don't say that.
I hate to be the bearer
it's facts
of the bear, but
and a lot of women are okay with that though.
Facts.
Yes.
Women, wake up. If you're joining us live, a whole bunch of y'all will never get married. You will have relationships. You will have kids. You will have long distance relationships, short, like in your town relationship. You will have long in terms of the timeline of relationship. You may even be engaged. You may even have been engaged and have put the deposit down on the flowers, the cake, and all the seats and arrangements and everything. A whole bunch of y'all are not going to get married.
That's crazy.
So,
because I'm not having kids before I get married. You're gonna have to marry me first, then we'll have kids. I'm not negotiating with that.
I know
That's what it is.
And my daughter is 17, and I love her. She's the greatest gift and greatest challenge the guys ever placed before me. And that was a oopsie. When we were in college. So, but here's the thing. And the women who will never get married unless they're a woman a single woman saying, I will never get married right now. These women don't know who they are. Life just plays out.
It's true.
And as life is playing out and they're doing this, some women will never get married because they, in the prime years where they would be the hottest pick,
they're not thinking about marriage.
They're not thinking about marriage. They're going and getting it corporate world. They can get up and move. They can this and that, whatever.
Priorities have changed.
Women and men are both waiting longer to get married. So women, don't wait on the husband. Get the house because some of y'all ain't going to ever get married, period.
But marriage now, I guess, like my age, like 28-ish on up.
Okay.
Some of them take that as a joke. Like,
oh yeah,
they will get married.
Yeah.
But you still out here talking to women, doing whatever it is you want to do, and you have a wife at home. Like, what's the point of you getting married if you still gonna continue to do things as a single man? It defeats the purpose.
Oh, you start a whole new podcast.
Exactly. We're not gonna go there today, but we will come back to that part too. All right, so let's look at the pros and cons about single women purchasing home for a husband with prospects. Everything I've given you thus far are those women do not have a prospective husband, meaning they're not in a serious relationship. What about those that are in a serious relationship? Well, here's some reasons why you should purchase a home before he pops the question. If you are flexible enough to where you could buy it 1 year and you don't mind selling it or renting it out the next.
That's my mind frame.
That's your mindset.
That's my mind frame.
You know that this home is just the first. It's just the first stepping stone for you, Tanisha.
Exactly.
So if you meet a guy and it gets real serious real quick and he pops the question, you have no problem either selling this house or renting it out.
I will rent it out.
In a second.
I won't sell it.
Or rent it out, right.
Rent it out.
But you don't have a problem moving out.
I don't.
Either way.
I don't.
Right. Very good. With prospects, because you are still solely responsible for yourselves, ladies, even if you are in a serious relationship, you still falls on you.
Yep.
So if you are in a position and things have lined up for you to get a home because you are responsible for you need to get it.
Yes.
Even if you're in a serious relationship.
I still have my home. And it's
and you still have the first home.
And it's rented out.
And it's rented out.
And it's our home.
Right.
Because he has made his contribution.
Okay.
So I mean it can definitely work.
That's fair.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I tell women too, you have to kind of grow a backbone a little bit. If you are not attached but single, if you can't have the conversation about, I have this home, I love you, yes, I want to get married, but I don't feel like putting you on the deed. If you don't have the backbone to have that conversation, you need to question one or two things. Either you're going to get married or whether you should buy this home yet.
Yeah,
because that conversation will come up in some way, shape, or form.
But that goes into securities, right? You being secure, at least the male, to accept that conversation.
Correct.
And that's the conversation my husband and I had.
Right.
We're getting married, but this is my house.
Now,
and
because
if something happens, it's mine.
And let me say this, because I know your husband personally, he was a lot more mature than most men.
He was. Yes.
He's experienced some life. And also you two weren't strangers before y'all started dating.
Correct. We were friends first.
Y'all were friends first. So y'all were able to know and be very acquainted with each other's temperament, each other's worldview, each other's perspective.
But that also plays in today with people waiting to get married later, right? You should be at some level of maturity. Even you in your late 20s, early 30s, hopefully you would find a male that is mature enough that you can have that honest conversation. That's something I think ladies should consider.
But I think what's happening, Connie, is that people are waiting later and they're racking up a lot of financial maturity and social maturity, but they're very depleted and almost bankrupt on the relational maturity.
Oh.
Wow. I ain't
because
going that route.
because you date differently when you date to marry.
That's
true.
That is true.
You date differently.
I agree.
There's some
you have to be ready.
Exactly. It's just parameters and some decisions change, right? So, yeah. Okay.
And men move differently.
Very much so.
When they know you want them versus you needing them.
We're going to get to that a little later because I had a post on that. I did a post on that.
Oh.
So I'm not going to repeat it on this podcast. Okay, moving on. Because Harris is looking at me and I'm paying by the hour. Okay, buying contributes to the wealth of the family. This is why even if you're in a serious relationship, ladies, and you're single, you purchasing contributes to the legacy. So especially if you have kids, purchase. That's contributing to their legacy. That's putting some economics and some assets now on the table. Another reason, if you're in a serious relationship, you should still buy. Other needs might arise. And here's what I'm talking about. Most people don't consider, they want to wait later to get married. What they're not considering is what responsibilities may be on their plate in terms of becoming caretakers for their parents the later they wait. So if you're waiting until you're 35, your parents had you when, let's say, they were 25. I put those two numbers together and I get 60.
Yeah.
So your parents are 60 years old. So you would want to purchase a house so that should you need to bring a parent, should you need to become a caretaker for someone, friend, family, loved one, you need to have the ability to transform that place, put a handicap ramp in where you need to, et cetera, et cetera.
Because it's yours.
Exactly. Because it's yours.
So to put that in perspective,
right?
That's for your older single women. Is that what you're implying?
Yes and no.
Okay.
To put in perspective is I'm in a relationship, but it's not guaranteed we're going to get married. 5 years from now, my parents are going to be 60 or 65 or 70. So I'm thinking ahead that some needs may arise 5 years down the line.
Before you get married.
Okay,
I'm there with you.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. And the last reason why you should, even though not last reason on my list, is this, and the pandemic has shown this to be the truth, Ruth.
Man.
It takes longer to foreclose on someone than it does to evict them.
That's right.
So in times, ladies, since you are going to be less of a risk taker, owning a home is actually a stronger option for you. Because should your finances change during a pandemic where you get laid off and now your income is here on the other side of the pandemic because they haven't been able to evict people, they haven't been able, to start the foreclosure process. Yep. But on the other side of this, when they start that back up, in a home, oh gosh, you can be behind as little, like 6 months worth on your payments before they start the foreclosure process.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Buying a home is typically an asset.
Correct.
It's one of the few things
Correct.
that appreciates.
Correct.
So you have access to money.
Correct.
By owning that home.
You do.
So even in those situations,
right,
you still have positive and pros.
Even if you want to rent out a room, room,
that's right.
And this is not for the whole country, but subleasing is illegal in Charlotte.
Oh, it is.
I won't say in all North Carolina, but I know definitely in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, you're not allowed to sublease.
I didn't know.
New York is different.
Act like we know.
You can have a sublet. The tenant can become a type of landlord for another tenant. Right, but no, not in Charlotte, North Carolina. And you fact check that, everybody. But last time I checked and researched it, it was not. And I do property management. All right, here's some reasons why you should not buy a house as a single woman in a serious relationship. Which one do I? Okay. I've heard a lot of people consider this. Women will consider purchasing a home with a man that they're not married to, but in a serious relationship with. I say don't do that unless you have a fail-safe in writing that should the relationship go awry, how is that asset going to be dispersed?
Prenup.
Before the nup. I'm serious. We got folk who ain't married, but you need to have an agreement similar to a prenup. If you're not willing to do that, I say don't purchase it with your significant other.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying? This goes back to the woman wanting a home in her fantasy that has a husband in it. You're not married yet, but you're deep in love and it's real serious. You moved in together. Now you said, well, honey, we need larger space. And it's the right time to buy.
But on the other side, it's still like a business agreement. You both can walk away with something.
You can. This is what I would say to that. I don't know how many serious relationships end in a very amicable way when there's money involved.
True.
I just don't know. I don't know the data. You're right. It could be.
But you have power couples now, too, who get married for different reasons. And
right.
It's not about love. So I'm just saying that.
Correct.
Women, you can be smart and go into it with a different mindset to protect you. Even love is involved. And Jason can guide you through that.
And this is what I would say. There's a reason why some married folk don't go in business with each other.
You
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. If you have the mindset to go about it that way, go for it. How many people will that work out? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, another reason why you should not, when you're in a serious relationship, if you have not established clearly what your priorities are. This is what I mean by that. If you're in a serious relationship, if you are losing who you are as an individual, single woman as an individual, I don't think you should buy a house.
Absolutely not.
In that situation.
That's a waste of
I think
time.
you need to do some soul searching so you can buy. Yeah. But in that moment, I don't think you should get the house before the husband.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So you see where my cons are coming in. You see why these are good, legitimate reasons why you shouldn't move forward.
Yeah.
These are things you can change. And let's see. And here's the last thing. Now let me straighten up my back here.
Okay.
When we talk about this one here. Single woman, serious relationship. You need to have an honest conversation with yourself. If you love the quality of life you have, how much of it's being supported out of his pocket? If you purchasing what you want is going to require the contribution of someone else, consistent contribution to someone else.
You don't need it. You can't afford it.
I don't think you should buy.
You can't afford it.
Because you can't afford it in and of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Right. But to me, that's the type of house you get. Because buying a home is a lot cheaper than renting.
I agree.
Correct. And I tell my clients, look, you like it, I love it. It's not about what Jason thinks, right?
Going outside your means, you shouldn't do that.
But if you can't be happy with what you in and of yourself as a single woman can afford, if that's not enough, Tanisha, you're fine. She loves her house. She can afford it. Right. And what was the difference between rent payment and your current mortgage?
Like $180.
That's it.
I was paying almost $1,100 for my rent.
Yeah, and rent keeps going up. So she is in a property where she is happy. It's a property she can afford. So what she can afford, she's very happy with. If that's not your situation and you're going to need someone to help you pay the mortgage, right? Yeah. Then I say, don't do it.
That's true.
This is why, don't do it.
Even when I was in a relationship, if I couldn't afford it on my own,
right,
I'm not gonna get it, because if it don't work out between us, it's nothing for me to pick back up where I left off with you gone.
And it's not a question of how much you love the person. You can be in love with the person, but you have to understand. And what did I go back to say at the beginning, middle, end of the day? Women, your responsibility of you falls on you.
That's right.
And I can say it to men too. Single folk in general, responsibility of you falls on you. So those are my pros and cons. And I think they're logical. I think they make sense.
They do.
And I think they're real talk.
Yes.
And I have seen people get in positions. I've even seen a position where, and we didn't even go into kids and that whole talk. What if your significant other, women, what if the man you're dating has kids and you want to, and one of those kids wants to move in? Yeah, we ain't gonna go there tonight. So any questions on Facebook? Any questions on YouTube before we sign off? Because we've been going at it for an hour, and I told my man Harris 30 minutes to 45. Ladies, how did I do?
You did great. Awesome. You brought the facts.
I brought the facts, didn't I?
I live for
facts. Brought the data.
Yeah.
That's right.
Facts are stubborn.
Great topic.
Well, yeah.
But however, single ladies, we will get married one day. You will.
That's right.
Some of y'all.
Why would you say that?
Because it does facts.
It's true.
It's the facts.
Well,
Jack.
I claimed it already.
You claimed it already?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. All right.
You should. That's right.
I've been claiming $1 million for the last 10 years. I don't know where that going. I don't know where that $1 million is. Okay, but thank you so much for joining us on another edition of Real Estate Mixtape. See you guys next time. Peace.
Bye.
You do your thing, man.